The first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for asking my dad to drive me home in the middle of my engagement dinner? I, 26 female, just got engaged to my fiance, 32 male, who's the only son my future mother-in-law has, and she's incredibly involved in his adult life. At first, that didn't bother me, as I see it as a good thing that he has a good relationship with his mom, but it started getting worse, with her constantly getting involved in my personal life as well. His family decided to have a small celebration for our engagement, and they invited my family for dinner. I wasn't so comfortable with having a celebration because I felt that my fiancé and I should decide whether we wanted or not. Anyways, I had my mom, dad, and brother attended. We met some of his family members there as well. Things were going fine, till my mother-in-law talked about wedding/honeymoon and stuff like that. My fiancé was talking and I just sat there listening. She then started talking about future grandkids, and this is when I got uncomfortable. I'm living child-free and planning on living child-free all my life, and I think that is mostly because of experiencing a traumatic death of my younger sibling, my sister, who was sick, and I was the closest one to her. She was young, and during her sickness, I felt like I was being a mother to her. My parents knew how much her and I were connected, and her death was so devastating. I will never know what it feels like to lose a child, but losing her felt like a piece of me was gone. I don't want kids, thinking they'd be gone one day, and I'll have to deal with this awful pain for the rest of my life, like how I'm dealing with my sister's death. I already discussed this with my fiancé, but instead of telling her to drop it, he just let her go on. My parents noticed her behavior. My dad told her that I wasn't planning on being a mom, but she just laughed it off and said that I'll change my mind, then started making a toast. She made a toast saying, "To my future grandchildren." I got sick of it. I quietly told my fiancé that I wanted to leave, but he told me to wait. I turned to my dad and asked him if he could drive me home, and my family all got ready to leave. My mother-in-law tried to pressure us into staying, but we left eventually. In about 30 minutes after her guests left, I got a call from my fiancé telling me his mom wants to talk. He gave her his phone, and she blew up on me for walking out and embarrassing her in front of her guests, and brought up the kids' topic and said that she get a say in that. She berated me for 5 minutes, then hung up on me. My fiancé called back, but I ignored him. I went home with my family feeling awful. The whole situation sucks. And I cried, feeling hurt by them and their lack of consideration, and them just steamrolling my decisions as a person like that. Now let's read the top comments. Your mother-in-law is only part of your problem. The bigger problem is that your fiancé supports her and not you. He handed her the phone so she could berate you after leaving a dinner where she insulted you and tried to dictate whether you'd have children. Consider this a preview of what it will be like to be married to her, because you essentially will be. Not the a-hole, but proceed with caution. Your spouse is literally supposed to be your partner, and before all others, for a damned reason. Absolutely not the a-hole. And I'd be really worried your fiancé did not back you up. I don't often say this, but you should consider breaking off the engagement. This does not bode well for the marriage. He let his mother say all these things without taking any action. He let her scold me and even trick me into thinking he wanted to talk to me. Then gave her the phone and she kept berating me for leaving while she didn't stop ignoring my feelings and how that topic is so sensitive to me and very personal. I'm done with her constantly trying to get involved in everything I do. Just because my fiancé lets her, that doesn't mean she has a right to dictate how I live and what decisions I make. She's so selfish and inconsiderate and has no respect for others' feelings. I'm sorry, hun. Your fiancé is being an a-hole too. If he's not able to establish boundaries for her, this wedding should not happen. Not the a-hole. Do not marry this guy. He will always put his mother first, and he will never have your back. If you ignore my advice and stay with him, use long-term birth control, implant or IUD, that can't be tampered with, and maintain your own bank account for your income/savings. Because his mother can't be trusted not to mess with your birth control, and your fiancé will give his mother your savings if she asks for it. OP, listen to this. I don't think you should marry him. Clearly, it's your life. Like, you do you, girl. But if you leave him, let them both know why. It's because of her and him, of course. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for locking my husband out of our bedroom after our wedding reception? The title sounds bad, but hear me out. We were high school sweethearts and met at 14. We dated for 6 years before getting married, and it was clear that he's always been extremely close with his mother. She's always been trying to convince him that we shouldn't be together. Even when we were teens, she was trying to break us up. When we first announced our engagement, she freaked out. She told him, "You won't have a future with her. You're too young, you don't know what you're doing." She even told him he can do better than me. So, the wedding reception came, and it was a small family affair at my older sister's house since she has the yard space for our families to come. She never even came by to help us set up. It was mostly just my family and me. The entire reception was more like a party. It wasn't a traditional walk-down-the-aisle wedding, but our most important family and friends were in attendance. The entire night, my soon-to-be husband sat at the table with his mom. I let it go because I didn't want to have a fight at our wedding. We still did traditional things like sharing vows, taking pictures, cutting the cake, etc. But besides those moments, it was like I barely saw him. When it came to cut the cake, he took the first slice over to his mother. I was upset because the first slice should go to the people actually getting married, but again, I let it slide. I spent my wedding at a table with my best friend and my 14-year-old brother-in-law. The night after the reception, we got into it because it didn't help once with the wedding, and for all the reasons above. And just when we were getting home, he tosses the cake in the fridge without covering it or anything. Here's where I may be an a-hole, because I started asking him to wrap the cake and we got into a huge fight about it, if it was fine or not. I felt just done with the whole day, went into our room and locked the door. I was so mad I eventually ended up falling asleep, and he slept in the couch on our wedding night. I didn't mean to fall asleep, I just wanted some space for a bit. We've been fighting on and off since, and his mother has called me a bridezilla more than once, so I'm starting to doubt myself. Am I the a-hole here for not allowing my new husband into our bedroom on our wedding night? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, annulment. He's already married to his mother. Nailed it. 110%. Get out of this relationship. Speaking from experience, this doesn't get better, and he won't change. This is an everyone sucks here for me. You married a mama's boy at 20 years old. That was your choice. He showed you that he still had a lot of growing to do, and you still married him anyway. What did you expect would happen? When deciding who to marry, you have to consider the in-laws that come with it. Yikes all the way around. You knew this woman for 6 years, Soapy? Everyone sucks here. This is not an advice sub, but here's some from an older, happily married lady. Young couples either grow together or grow apart. If you want to be the former and not the latter, get comfortable with saying, "I felt hurt when you," and "I realized that what I did was hurtful. I am sorry, and I'm going to work hard not to do that again." Because marital problems are not you versus him. They are you and him versus the problem. That is, it's not you versus husband and mother-in-law, but you and husband versus how mother-in-law treats you and how he prioritizes the two of you in his life. If you need some space, say it. If you feel insecure, say it. If you feel overlooked, underappreciated, mad, etc., say it. Pettiness, passive-aggressive BS, and silence will murder your relationship, so open up. Yeah, it's scary. But if there is anyone out there whom you can be vulnerable with, it's your spouse. Edit. To quickly address the comments below. People don't change, but they do grow. You are not the person you were 5 years ago and 5 years from now. You look at the person you are today and sometimes shake your head. People also make mistakes. Stupid, careless, obvious mistakes. I am not placing all the blame or putting all the effort on Opie's shoulders. They will both have to learn to give each other grace and the benefit of doubt to grow as a couple together. Please keep in mind that Opie is giving us a few paragraphs on the things about her husband that piss her off the most. Of course, the reaction is, "What a S-head. Drop him like he's the beat. Thanks, I'll show myself out." That's how Reddit works. That's not how a good marriage works. Here's a little update from the poster. Edit. I'm overwhelmed by the response, so I'll answer a few questions. Some people have said that I locked him out because of the cake argument. For me, it was the icing on the night, so to speak. Pun not intended. I told him I needed space, and when I went into the room, I stayed on the floor crying until I fell asleep, and I apologized for it the next morning. Locking him out was not my intent, but intention rarely affects the impact of the actions, and I do see that. A few people suggested that he spent the wedding with his mom because she was alone. She wasn't. His father, his brother, his aunts and cousins were all there. She absolutely was not the only member of his family in a guest list. Regardless of how it sounds, I do love him, which is why I agreed to marry him. His mother was against us because we met online. We have lived together for 2 years in a basement apartment. Full bedroom, bath, living room, and kitchen. That's connected to my mom's house, but that's to save money for now. The wedding felt like the next step in a relationship, but a lot of people are telling me we should have waited or to get an annulment or divorce. We have a lot to work on, but I don't think it's that level yet. I'm going to try to catch up with all the comments, but there are so many notifications that when I scroll through them, it glitches and jumps to the top. Now for the last story, am I the a-hole for gifting my step-niece my engagement ring rather than my biological one? I'm 35 and I have an older brother who has 3 kids with his wife. 2 are biologically his. His oldest is Abby, who is 22. He married Abby's mom when Abby was 3 and adopted her when she was 10. Their middle child is Stephanie, age 17. Abby has always been treated as a part of our family, especially since her bio family are very distant. I was only 16 when she became my niece, and she was like a little sister to me. Abby got engaged this year, and I offered her my original wedding ring. The diamonds in it were originally my grandmother's, who gave it to my mother, who gave it to me. I only have boys, so I wanted to give it to Abby to keep the tradition alive. Abby was ecstatic. My sister-in-law and brother were also appreciative of the gift. The issue, I think, stems from my mother. She was disappointed I didn't save the ring for Stephanie. The ring has always gone to the woman that marries first in the family, and I pointed that out to her, but she insisted it should stay in our family. That is, blood relation, and that it wasn't fair to Steph. Abby ended up contacting me and asked if I wanted the ring back, and said she felt bad about accepting it and told me it would be better going to a future daughter-in-law of mine. I insisted she keep it. I'm pretty sure Abby didn't feel suddenly guilty all on her own, but she didn't say why she had a change of heart. I asked my brother what was going on and he said Steph had been jealous and pouty and Abby felt bad. My mom said I should have taken the ring back and that I'm causing unnecessary drama between sisters and has been very I told you so about this. I personally think she has something to do with the whole situation, although she hasn't admitted it. Am I the a-hole for maybe causing my nieces to fight over this? Not the a-hole. Awfully bold of her to claim you are causing drama when she is the one making trouble over it. Opie is probably right on the money. This didn't come from nowhere. Grandma is stirring the pot because she doesn't think of Abby as her grandkid. She said as much when she felt the need to specify our family. Call her out on this BS, Opie. Abby has been a part of your family for 2 decades and your mom is being needlessly cruel. Not the a-hole. This is like saying an adopted child is not a real member of the family, which is pretty reprehensible in my opinion. This, her mother and younger niece are disgusting, though I'll give the niece more of a pass, as she's still young and dumb. So, Opie is not the a-hole, but mom is, and Opie's bro and sister-in-law are too. If they have in any way allowed younger niece to believe she's more special because she's a bio kid. Just ick all around, except for Opie and Abby. Not the a-hole. If your brother got recently married, it'd be one thing. But he raised Abby since she was 3. He's been her father her whole life. I don't think it caused your nieces to fight, but definitely your mom pressuring your other niece and causing tension between everyone. I don't think from what you're saying your mom has enough gusto to say anything to her face. Don't back down because family isn't about blood. It's about a lot of different other things. Not the a-hole. And that's the end of the video, folks. As always, leave your comments below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like the content. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.